Dr. Laura.
Hey everyone,
Yes.
hi Melissa.
Hey,
Thank you
hey.
for having me.
Yay. Thank you for being so patient because we had a lot to talk about today. Thank you. I hope you
Very
enjoyed it.
exciting.
Yes, it is very exciting. This is a big day. This is a big day. And I know Laura Campbell knows exactly what we're talking about. Welcome, Laura. Laura, it's confusing to me because we had two Lauras, but yeah, I'll just say Laura C. So she has been a patriot for a long, long time, been part of the Freedom Force Battalion for a long time. And so I know, I'm just going to tell what I know super quick, and then you can tell the rest. That she found out about the wonderful treatments that Dr. Laura does with prescribinglife.com. And because as everyone knows, her life was restored because of Dr. Laura. My mom was on 3 opioids a day, and now she doesn't even take any pain medicine at all. And so you believed me. You're like, okay, Melissa's not kidding. This has really helped her mom. And so you said, let me give this a try and see. I'm going to go see Dr. Laura and see what she can do for me. Am I right? That is
Yes, absolutely.
okay. Well,
Absolutely.
tell us
Yes.
your story. Tell us, and we're so glad to meet one of our
Well, I
fellow
have, I
brothers and
hope it
sisters.
don't go too long, but it is a buildup.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so just a quick background.
Yeah.
I evidently had a defective heart valve since birth. My tricuspid was shaped like a bi, supposedly, right? So when I turned 50 in 2020, my murmur started to become more pronounced. And I lost my mother, and then I lost my cardiologist, and I was like run down. I'm thinking, oh, I'm fine, you know. And so by the time I found a new cardiologist, it was in 21, and she knew immediately I was in what they call aortic stenosis, which means your pressure differential between your chambers should be between 6 and 9 DPI. I was at 38. And at 40, you will just die, right? And so they hurried, they got me a surgeon. He's phenomenal. I'm in Houston, and that's where you want to be sick if you're going to be sick with the heart. But they opened me up, they changed out the valve, gave me a nice mechanical valve, and said at a 6-month checkup, 10,000 steps. And I was like, no. I'm like, my legs are still concrete. I could tell I was breathing better. I was able to sleep without being exhausted because my little heart was trying to keep me alive for so long that it was kind of too big. But anyway, so they said, "Oh no, it's something else." So my cardiologist got in touch with one of her friends. They gave me an MRI, and because I had no pain and I just had kind of like some imbalance problems, he kind of shoved me off, and he just did an MRI of the top of my head. He did a chase on my eyes, and then he did my spine. And when they came back with the results, he's like, your lesions and the myelin that have been eaten away from your brain, he said, you've had MS for probably 10 or 12 years.
Oh my
So
gosh.
he was a little offended that
You
I
didn't
was
even
like, he said I was
know.
faking.
You
Yeah,
didn't
he said I
even
was
know.
faking. And I'm like, I was having a heart problem. I didn't know. Yeah. And so it is just amazing. So you've been talking about Dr. Laura and prescribing life, and I thought it was just for pain, you know, and I don't have pain, but I walk like a drunk and I can't, you know, I'm a mess. Well, I saw Dr. Laura. Well, we did a consult, and then I did qualify to be a candidate, and we started the 26th, which is a week ago yesterday. And I tell you, and she'll tell you, she's going to come on. I am a darn rock star now. I mean, it's just incredible. You know, I did all the strength training after my heart, so I know that the muscles are better than they've ever been. And so now that she's fixed me, you know, we did 7 sessions last week. I'm going to do 5 in week after next, and then we're going to see. Because you know, I got to be able to do other things, and she's the professional. But yeah.
Okay. So amazing. So MS, the little bit I know, it's the multiple sclerosis. So okay, go ahead, explain it.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a something is attacking my myelin sheath, right? And I don't know if it's a virus, I don't know.
Okay, but they
But
don't.
it's
Okay,
broken away.
they don't know what that is. Okay, a myelin sheath is what
Yeah.
covers all of your nerves. It's like a yeah.
Nervous system. Yeah, yeah. And I had breaks, right? So messages are coming from my brain telling me to walk, but it wasn't getting through. So my legs were concrete. And they
Right.
gave me a drug for that. Now they've given me infusions for punching MS in the nose. So I mean, since I started the infusions, it has not progressed, right? But like Dr. Laura has said, she's like, I don't really look at the holes in your stuff. She's like, we're going to find new routes, and you're going to be able to tell your brain, well, then don't go that way. That way's broken. Let's go another way.
Okay.
And so
think of it like in your house.
sessions.
If you have electrical lines going through your house, and that there's a
Yeah.
break in that electrical line, we need to make a new line, a new power line.
Yes. Yeah. And God's made you a beautiful person. They're already there. She just had to wake them up.
That is so wonderful. I'm so happy for you. We have actually had a few videos where we've talked about people who have, nerve damage that it really wasn't pain so much related, but I think we do focus sometimes too much on the pain situation. And when
pain is so chronically debilitating.
Right. And when
I can still go to work, I can still do all the things. I just
drunk
don't do it well,
Well, when I got poisoned, I don't know if you've been around for that long, but when I was poisoned, and basically my phrenic nerve was locked up, and it just would not. It wasn't making my diaphragm move, and so that's I wasn't having any pain. I just couldn't breathe, So I had to force myself to breathe. It was. And then you can't sleep because you can't, you're gasping. Anyway, so yes, Laura, that's so exciting. I'm so glad that you have introduced me to Laura. So tell us from your standpoint, what's going on? Oh, I'm talking about you, Dr. Laura. I'm sorry. I'll call you Dr. Laura.
I was confused. Sorry. No, I'm just very excited.
Laura.
Yeah, I'm just so excited about your response, Laura, and it's been great working with you. We're still, like you said, we have a lot to do. But the fact is that after session 1, I remember she was telling me, I'm not able to just leave one leg and stand in one foot for more than a second. So we did treatment, and I'm always checking my patients before, after every session. Sometimes I tell them, I can be annoying. I'm going to ask you many questions, but I don't know what your body's able to do. Everyone is different. Our nervous system works so quickly because, electricity, information, they go very quickly. And then, of course, God is, at the end of the day, who's in charge of everything. So I'm just going to ask you once again, can you lift one leg and see what happens? And then there she is, was just telling me that she couldn't do that. And we counted to 3 and 4 seconds, and she was able to do that. And then by the end of the week, a lot of strain, she was able to stand a lot longer on one leg. And besides that, her balance came back. We had a catwalk through the hallway, and she was walking. Before, she couldn't do it with her eyes closed. That's one of the things that happens with people who are having issues with MS. And in many cases, that's not very neurological study. And the problem is that there is no balance, but that happens with so many other things. And we're able to see how her body is adjusting and finding new ways, new paths to do what she needs to do. And that's what it's all about. And then over time, the goal is that we can also restore that myelin sheet, which is basically the coating that goes through your nerves to make them work. The problem is that, we talk about MS as, this is debilitating, and it's always going to be, it's a chronic issue, and you're always going to get worse. That's what most doctors say. So I love when people like Laura can show us that that is not the case, and that, we are divinely created, and our body has the ability to restore. Sometimes we just have to find, the right paths for that to happen. And I'm just very thankful for you to trust us, to trust Melissa, because it was through her that you met me, even if we're all, I'm in Houston as well. And to being able to work with you and see your progress has been amazing.
Yay. I'm just so thankful. So, okay, so how were you doing before? Were you in a wheelchair? How did you function?
No, because once they really discovered it, they gave me a drug that sends the signals. And so I've been able to change from not being able to stand more than 20 minutes without sitting down. I could have stood an hour and a half with that drug, and I'm still taking it, but I couldn't, I would always have to rest. I would have to make sure there was a bench somewhere, and there's just, and I can't get overheated. So I can't go in a hot tub. I can't, which is fine. I'm not like some rock climber, but I did want to be able to be productive and walk and not have to park and handicap just to go to, Costco or whatever. And have to be able, I couldn't walk the whole store, and now I can do anything. And really I was saying my daughter's engaged and I'm like, I'm not a grandma yet, but I was like, I want to be able to sit on the floor with my grandbaby. I want to be able to take the baby upstairs and put her in a crib or him in a crib. And I'm like, those are just the little things I just couldn't do, and now I know that I'm going to be able to.
Yay! That's so wonderful. That's so wonderful. That's very similar. I mean, kind of when my mom was so bad off, and I just prayed, Lord, please show us the answer. And I just had no idea that it was going to lead to not only her, because I was just without hope. I was just so scared. I'm like, Lord, please, I don't know what to do. And so, I just didn't realize it was going to help other people. That makes me so happy to see that, the lemons that we had got lots of lemonade. But yeah, we had, our wonderful friend Gertie told me about Dr. Laura. And when we first went to have the treatments, she actually had, I don't know, probably 25 over the whole time. But even after the first one, she was like, she could start to feel that something was happening. We didn't go nearly as fast with her as Dr. Laura has with you, but it took a little bit longer. But it worked, And hers was mostly, I think, not from the myelin sheath being damaged on the nerves, but the inflammation on her nerves, and from trauma, from surgeries, from cuts, from scar tissue.
Yeah, and I can't say, Dr. Laura is doing I had the open heart surgery, and it broke stuff apart. I've got, scar tissue from 2 C-sections, and she's we're going to fix a whole bunch of me, so it's going to be great.
Yes. Well, because it's, the nerves are trying to get through there, and they just get stuck at the nerve tissue, at the scar tissue. I know I'm not saying it the right way, but everybody on my channel understands exactly what I'm saying. Go ahead.
We can share an image, so everything that you're saying, it makes sense. So
okay, yeah.
The thing is that our nervous system, if you guys remember from biology, anatomy, etc., it's a network that is all connected through our body and starts from our brain and then goes down and it goes to even our fingertips, our toes. Everything is innervated. And not just that, everything is connected through the nervous system. That means every system and every organ are. So when we have a physical trauma, and that can be, for example, a surgery, that is going to create scar tissue, not just in the area of the surgery, for example, the heart, but also all the nerves and tissues that are surrounding that. The problem with it is that causes something that we call an interference field, and is that that scar tissue doesn't allow the transfer of information that the nerves were doing before. And it can happen, over time, over many years. We can have since we're little, right? Since we were little, we had many different kinds of trauma that led also to the inflammation that we have today. Unfortunately, because in the world that we live on now, and hopefully that will change soon, the food is contaminated, the air is poisoned, water is too. So there are many factors that are contributing to increasing the inflammation in different areas of our body. And each person manifests those symptoms in a different way.
Oh, okay.
So then we label them. And we say, oh, you have MS, and oh, you have migraines, and oh, you have this and that. The thing is that Laura's MS is completely different to any other MS I have seen. And each person who has been diagnosed with it just shares a little bit of symptoms, but nobody's the same. So are we going to still just label something, or are we going to work in getting better and look at the symptoms for what they are? So that's the work that we have been doing with Laura. And at the end of the day, you guys were talking about okay, are we talking about pain, or, there are so many different things that we can do. Yes, because the nervous system manages so many, like a lot of information and in different systems. And that's why we're talking about your heart, Melissa, for example. So the idea is that we can reestablish the normal functioning of that organ or of our whole body.
Wonderful.
So sorry if I got too extended, but I get
No,
excited every time I talk about it.
that explains a lot, and yeah, I'm so glad that you know what you're talking about, so you can fix all that. All right, so someone asked a question, and so I'm going to read it. Do you know of anything that helps lung scarring from interstitial lung disease?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. We have had cases with, for example, emphysema, which is something very similar, and also COPD, all chronic ailments with the lung function. They create one or another kind of scar tissue. So it could be very likely. And actually, we have a patient that we've been working now with COPD who showed scar tissue on his x-rays, and he's been doing really well now in the way he's breathing and feeling better. His
That's
levels
wonderful.
of oxygen are better. So that'll be very interesting to work with
Yes.
somebody.
It really, it's amazing, and the treatments basically just give your body the fighting chance to heal itself. Really, is what happens. But yeah, the website that Dr. Laura has is prescribinglife.com. Prescribing life, life.com. And you can also go to the Telegram and watch several of the episodes where we've interviewed people like Laura, okay, and who've been made well, and so exciting to see all the different the transformations. And that's on Prescribing Life USA. Okay, Prescribing Life USA. I'll grab that and put that in the chat also. But yeah, I'm so thankful. I'm very, very glad to hear your story, Laura. And I just hope that others will hear this and do the same thing and say, hey, it's worth giving it a try just to see, And we were to be honest with what my mom was going through. We had no other hope. They said, there's nothing to do for you except just give you opioids, and there you go, bye-bye. And so we said, we've got to try something else. And I'm just very glad the Lord directed us to Dr. Laura. There's only two, I think, is it still two neurotherapists in America? So what we want to do, we're praying, you guys, that with all this going on, all the changes that are happening with RFK, that we will be able to get somehow this approved so that it is, unfortunately, like right now, it's not on disability or, covered by a lot of different things, Medicare and all that. So we want to make sure that this is something that everyone can get access to. And we really want to have it where, we have where they don't, where Medicare is not trying to be our doctor, that we get to go and do whatever we need to do to make ourselves well, Anyway, that's
yeah.
That's
and
where,
I think
where we're headed.
hate to interrupt, but my neurologist, he's not even thinking that he can make me better, but he's super smart, right? So why isn't he, if he really cares about people and them getting better, why doesn't he invest time in learning how to do what Dr. Laura does and expand his network that way,
Well, and the thing is, it's hard because they all kind of go down this path of what's going to be covered by Medicare and insurance and all that. And so if it's not in that pathway, then they don't even want to consider it. And so that's in my opinion, that's a big problem. We didn't know all these years. We didn't realize that we were doing something wrong. And so, I think that we have to leave a lot of room for that they don't know. Okay. And so, and just like with me, the only way I found Laura was by a miracle from the Lord, that I prayed and the Lord directed me. That's the only way I ever get any solutions is I pray. And the Lord gives me the answer. Remember the Lord Jesus met this woman and she had been sick for 12 years and she spent everything she had. She wasn't any better, but only worse. Remember that passage in Luke? And so, I said, Lord, please direct us. We don't have a lot of chances here we got to get this right now. And so the Lord directed me to Gertie, and who directed me to Laura. So anyway, I think that in a lot of cases, it's just a matter of getting the truth out. So thank you, everybody who's helping to get this kind of truth out. I guess is there anything else you wanted to share before we go? All right, thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
I would just like to remind you that this is a safe procedure. And the difference, we're talking about like why the neurologist, is not trying to learn something like this, or unfortunately it's not very well known. And we're not using pharmaceuticals, and we're not using, it's something has no side effects, is extremely safe, and you can start seeing results very quickly. So I'm just very happy and excited for Laura,
Right.
and I want to
Yes.
keep getting you and seeing you getting better and better and better, and accomplish all the goals that you have, which are great. That is just spend time with your family and your loved ones. So
Yes. You know, the big pharma is not wanting to make us better. They want to keep us on some kind of pill, some kind of drug. And I know Laura's not going to say that, so I'm saying it. Okay, I'm just saying it. That's the problem. And so I love that Dr. Laura is really truly trying to work herself out of a job, make us well, right? So that we can go on and enjoy our lives, which that's really what the whole point of a doctor is supposed to be. So all right, so